Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is right around the corner, and judging from the trailers alone, there are a lot of things to talk about. So before that release date arrives, we're here to get you up to speed before the release of Spider-Man 2, giving you everything you need to know before you dive right in. Alright people, let's do this one last time. Spider-Man defeats Kingpin, Wilson Fisk, causing a power vacuum in New York City. This leads Spider-Man having to balance not only his normal life, but also life as a superhero as crime surges around the city. A new gang rises to infamy, called the Demons, led by Mr. Negative. Peter would later learn that the group are in search of a chemical bioweapon known as Devil's Breath, a failed cure-all turned life-threatening virus. Over time, Spider-Man gets help from police officer Jefferson Davis, but tragedy strikes as the demons attack the re-election campaign of Mayor Norman Osborn, resulting in multiple casualties, including the death of Officer Davis. This makes Osborn hire Silver Sable and her paramilitary group to deal with the demons. Meanwhile, Spider-Man meets Miles Morales, Officer Davis' son. Then the story turns to Martin Lee, the founder of Feast, a homeless shelter that Aunt May volunteers at. It turns out he's been Mr. Negative all along. He acquires Devil's Breath and threatens to release it, but Spider-Man is able to stop him. Mr. Negative gets imprisoned, and the bioweapon is secured. All is good until Doc Ock goes crazy, raking out all of the villains and criminals from the Raft, a maximum security prison near Rikers Island, secures the Devil's Breath, and actually, for reals, releases it in the middle of Times Square, infecting innocent citizens, and most tragically, Aunt May as well. Peter creates the anti-Ock suit and defeats Doc Ock, saving Norman Osborn and the antidote that can cure Devil's Breath. At the climax of it all, Peter is given the impossible choice of either saving the city or saving his Aunt May with the last dose of the antidote. In the end, with great power does come great responsibility, and Peter chooses to replicate the antidote, saving New York City at the cost of May's life. Oh, and by the way, another genetically modified spider escapes gets on MJ and bites Miles. So I guess we're here again to do this one last time. We're jumping forward a year, and Miles has been hard at work learning the ropes of being Spider-Man. However, while struggling to juggle both worlds, he accidentally releases criminals and the Rhino. Miles discovers his new bioelectric powers, which his best friend Ganke calls Venom, and defeats Rhino. Miles hands Rhino over to Simon Krieger of Roxxon Energy, because they got it from here, seemingly apprehending the villain. Definitely nothing suspicious here. Meanwhile, Peter goes on a much-needed working vacation with MJ, leaving Miles to become New York's one and only Spider-Man. On his very first day on the job, Miles finds out that a gang with high-tech gear called the Underground broke into Roxxon Plaza to steal some Nuform, Roxxon's new alternative form of energy, and has plans to intercept even more. Miles gets home and learns that his mom invited a childhood friend, Finn, over to their house for dinner, where we learn that Rio, Miles' mom, is gunning for a seat at the city council to hold Roxxon Energy accountable. Time passes and Rio holds a campaign rally and mentions that there's a Roxxon transport carrying some Nuform. Miles figures that this would interest the Underground and is probably the next spot they'll hit. He heads out to try and stop the Underground, only to find out Finn is the Tinkerer, the genius who has been arming the Underground with advanced gear. Ultimately, he fails to stop them, becomes unstable with his Venom ability, and destroys both the bridge and his reputation. Miles finds a phone filled with incriminating evidence showing that Finn's brother, Rick, created Nuform for Roxxon, and that the siblings aim to expose how dangerous it is to the public. We also see Krieger stop them, resulting in Rick's death. Miles accidentally overloads the phone with his electricity. Regardless, Finn plans to sabotage Roxxon Plaza's Nuform reactor so that she could expose Roxxon. Miles tries stopping Finn but loses to her, so he's forced to reveal his identity to save his life, telling Finn that Mom will be very upset if he dies.
My mom will be very upset.
With both of their secrets revealed to each other, Miles talks to Finn to try and fix the relationship when they're suddenly ambushed and kidnapped by Roxxon, aided by Rhino. They manage to escape, but Finn learns that Miles' uncle Aaron was spying for Roxxon and that he rigged the reactor at Roxxon Plaza to destroy Harlem if Finn succeeded in exposing Roxxon. With Rhino defeated, he taunts Finn about her brother and will soon regret it as she becomes furious with him. Miles tries to stop this but is knocked out while Finn escapes. Ganke brings home an injured Miles, exposing his secret to his mom. The Prowler tries to stop him from doing what his dad did and sacrificing himself. Miles defeats Prowler, not wanting to turn his back on New York when they needed him most.
I can't turn my back when people need me. I have to be better than that.
Prowler, inspired by Miles' heroism, helps Rio evacuate citizens. Finn is now ready to sabotage the reactor. Miles tries to reason with Finn but fails. With the reactor about to explode, he attempts to stop the reactor by absorbing the energy, but there's no way of doing it safely. Finn has a change of heart and sacrifices herself to fly him off into the sky to bring the destruction outside of the city. In all of the chaos, Miles' identity is exposed to some of the citizens, but they promise to keep it a secret. Fast forwarding a bit, we see Roxanne facing plenty of lawsuits, and Krieger is arrested with Uncle Aaron's testimony. Miles is then hailed as Harlem Spider-Man. Peter returns from his vacation and talks about how cool Miles' suit is. He reiterates how they are there to make sure that the bad guys never get away with doing bad things before heading off to fight crime. At the very end, we see that Norman Osborn is up to something shady as he tries to cure his son Harry Osborn. But regardless of what shady things he's up to, New York enjoys its newfound peace for now.
We interrupt this program to bring you news about the whereabouts of the villains in Spider-Man 2.
Introducing the Russian hunter, Sergei Kramenov, with only one goal in mind, to become the world's greatest hunter. And that's his first mate, showing Craven that only 3% of you are subscribed. So get to subscribing if you don't want to be hunted next. New York is now teaming with supers left and right. It's the perfect hunting ground for him to test his skills. I mean folks, we've got an octopus, vulture, rhino, spider. There's a ton of game roaming around for him to hunt. The other main villain rampaging around New York City in the next game is Venom, a sentient alien symbiote that bonds with its host, turning them into a vicious monster. We receive confirmation that this specific Venom will not be Eddie Brock, so who else could it be? All evidence points to Peter's best friend Harry Osborn, especially after this scene and the Miles Morales post-credits scene. Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative, will be one of the returning characters. We know he is alive, but we do not know much else. Will Miles finally get to avenge his father? Is Martin Lee even going to be a villain again for Spider-Man 2? Is he not going to be as important? Some familiar faces may also make a return. Black Cat and her collectibles, Taskmaster with his trials combined with Peter's holo training challenges, the Sinister Six with hints of the Lizard slithering around somewhere in a very dense crowd of characters that may include Uncle Aaron Davis or the Prowler, Yuri Watanabe or Wraith, and Tombstone, one of Mr. Negative's henchmen.
Who could save us all from these scum of the earth villains? That's where their heroes pop in. Here to bring you the latest news on our heroes.
Starting with our main hero, Peter Parker. After his vacation, he's different.
You have no idea.
He looks amazing and spectacular with his new symbiote suit, but he is definitely not the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that we know and love.
Sounds like Craven's checking off his.
We don't have much time. Move.
Guess we'll chat later?
You know who is friendly? Harlem Spider-Man Miles Morales. After holding his own during Peter Parker's extended vacation with MJ, Miles Morales has proven himself capable of juggling his normal life and his crime-fighting life. We can see him rising out of Peter's shadow and doing his own thing, molding an identity of Spider-Man that is wholly his own. But now that Peter's back for Spider-Man 2, we will finally get to see the Spider Duo team up and kick ass. With Miles' best friend Genki helping out as well with new tech and gadgets, who knows what else he can do now. So do you want to have your fortune read, horoscopes, general luck? Well, you've come to the right channel. Let's weave through the many possible plot threads revealed to us so far. Kraven the Hunter prowls the streets of New York in search of the perfect hunt to really prove his skills. One of the best ways to do it is to release the most vile, scorn of the earth criminals from the raft. This won't be the first time our heroes would have to deal with it. What is this, the most minimum security prison in the world? Speaking of the world, we're going to heal the world, said Venom to Harry looking down into the city. What could they possibly mean by this? It can be a similar situation to Beanox's Spider-Man Web of Shadows, a completely unrelated game by the way, with the symbiote spreading everywhere and you needing to cut it down. The symbiote is already causing enough damage with Peter being more aggressive and violent. What more damage is he going to do to his relations with the others? He just rekindled his relationship with MJ. Miles just started getting the hang of things. It's a harsh truth to to think of, but all things point to you, Miles Morales, having to fight Peter Parker. Miles has been concerned for Peter ever since his acquisition of the symbiote. Peter's been curt and rude to just about everyone around him.
He's got big teeth.
So do I.
He's not normally.
Miles catches on to this quickly, and it seems like he's gonna have to stop him in the future with all of this tension that has been building up. Either that, or it's a duo team-up where you swap between Miles and Peter so they try to fight against the symbiote or Venom together like in Web of Shadows. We hope we've armed you with all the knowledge you need before you dive right into Spider-Man 2. The release date is a web zip away if you're planning on catching up with the other games. If not, we hope this video helped. Let us know if there are any upcoming games you want us to prepare you for. No game has teeth big enough for us. Ours is bigger.